it is a queue.
Good morning everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and I welcome you all in this news analysis live session by Drishti IAS. Today we will be discussing today's Indian Express. From that we have taken some articles. We will be discussing those articles in details. There will be some miscellaneous article. We will be talking about that also. Okay. So we'll start with the front page as usual. We'll be talking about the news on the front page and we'll see which one are important for us. And then we'll move to our first article, that is hike in MSP for 6 Rabi crops. MSP is your minimum support price, which government kind of assures to the farmers, while procuring their crops. Okay. So there is a hike in 6 Rabi crops. We'll be talking about those crops and what kind of hike there is. After that, we'll be talking about a dry spell in Amazon. So in Amazon forest, there is this drought-like situation. Because of that, the water level in water bodies has come down, and there is a kind of a emergency-like situation there. Okay. So we'll talk about that, and after that, what causes the largest Mars quake? So there is a quake-like situation on Mars, because no doubt there are situations like that, but this time it is the largest one. Okay. One thing we know about Mars is that till now we assumed that there was no tectonic activity there, but with this particular quake, we will be talking about that also. Okay. After that, we'll look at the editorials at a glance, and then we'll talk about some miscellaneous news and wrap up the session. So let's start with the first article of the day, that is your hike in MSP. Before that, we'll look at the front page. Okay. So this is the Israel-Palestine thing which is still going on. USA's President Mr. Biden has visited while this conflict is escalating. Okay. So now there were hopes that they will be talking with the other stakeholders like neighborhood leaders, etc. But there are chances that those talks are not yet confirmed. Okay. And after that, we'll be talking about this thing, winter coming, and there is kind of redeployment of troops on the LAC. Because of the winter, there are harsh conditions, so we consider redeployment over there. It is after like 4th year of the Ladakh standoff which happened in Galwan. After that, there has been numerous number of talks, military level talks, diplomatic talks, but those did not result in any concrete situation. Recently we have talked in last session, I guess, that the 20th military level talk between India and the Chinese troops happened, but there was no concrete result out of that. And considering the winters, we will be considering redeployment of troops on the LAC. Okay. After that, ahead of the assembly polls, center hikes MSP for the wheat and 5 other Rabi crops. So we will be talking about this in detail. Okay. Other than that, there is nothing much to talk on the front page. Okay. So ahead of the assembly polls, center hikes MSPs for wheat and 5 other crops. What 5 other crops? These are the crops: wheat, barley, gram, masoor, safflower, and mustard and rapeseed. Okay. So these are the crops for which center has increased or announced the MSPs. Here you can see there is an increase of some 150 rupees and all. So we can see that increasing trends are there, and obviously there are elections, so this you can see it as a popular measure as well. Okay. So here we can see there is a rise of 7% in MSP of wheat. Okay. So when we talk about MSP, what is MSP? So MSP is the rate at which government procures from the farmer. Okay. Before the start of the season, government announced these MSPs. Okay, so that they can give some kind of incentives to the farmer for their crops. Okay. So once they announced it, after a certain time when the crop is harvested, after that the Food Corporation of India will take up the process of procurement. Okay. Though this procurement process get quite delayed, because of the which farmer has to go to the market and APMC etc. But that is another concern. But as of now, FCI take up with the procurement, and these MSPs are being announced by CACP, that is Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. This commission is under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. This particular body is a advisory body which advises on the prices, and then on the basis of that, government will kind of give these MSPs in the public domain. Okay, so what is MSP? MSP is the rate at which the government purchases crops from the farmers. Okay, it is important because sometimes you know that there is no incentive to grow the crops, etc. Farmers also have this tendency that because of the weak monsoon, etc., there would be some issues in crop yielding. So that is why MSP is announced. MSP is a minimum price for any crop that the government considers as remunerative for the farmers and hence deserving of the support. So what happens is, because of the supply demand issues, etc., when farmers reach to the APMC mandis, there is kind of a cartel, or you can say there are middlemen. Because of that, farmers get very less price. Considering that, government has thought that we have to give some kind of remunerative price to the farmer, that is basic minimum price, which he has to get so that his agriculture is kind of viable. Okay, he's kind of support his family, etc. So that is why MSP is basically announced. Okay, MSP is generally 1.5 times the input cost, or you can say the cost of production. Okay, there are ways to calculate this input crop, but we will discuss that in some other session maybe. Okay, so crops under MSP. How many crops are there under MSP? CFCP recommends MSP for 22 mandated crops along with FRP for sugarcane. So you can say there are 22 plus 1, that is 23 crops. Okay, for which government announced MSPs along with FRP for sugarcane. Okay, so that is one thing. Other than that, the mandated crops include 14 crops of the Kharif fasal and then 6 of the Rabi crop and 2 other commercial crops. Okay, in addition, MSP of the Toria and the dehushed coconut are fixed on the basis of MSPs of mustard and copra respectively. Okay, so this point might not be important for you as much, but these 2 points are important, that CSCP is the institution which kind of advises to the government for the MSP. Then MSP is declared by the government. Government is declaring MSPs for 22 mandated crops plus FRP for sugarcane. So there are 23 crops under this MSP regime. Okay, MSP is to support the farmers for their minimum remunerative prices so that they can get incentivized for their crops growing, etc. Okay, so I guess that is all about the MSP related issue. There are these 5 crops for which government has increased the MSP or announced the MSP in the Rabi season, that is wheat, barley, gram, masoor, sunflower and rapeseed and mustards. Now you can see that these all are Rabi crops. Okay, so that's it for this particular article. Okay, severe spell of drought in the Amazon. Amazon, you know that Amazon are called as lungs of the planet, because of their huge forest area, and because of that huge forest area they kind of act as a reservoir of the CO2. They capture CO2. Okay, so when we are talking about this CO2 and the lungs of planet, why is that it is in danger now? Because of the deforestation, etc., and the climate change and the extreme events that are happening right now, because of which there is a drought like situation in this area. There is extreme drying spells going on, which has reduced the water level in various rivers, etc. Other than that, there are some fishes and other species of dolphins which are dying and they are coming on the shore, and because of their dead corpus, etc., there is the issue of contamination of water, and that is the water which are used by the communities who are residing there. So there can be a health issues also. So that is why we have taken this article. We'll talk about it in detail. So here you can see Amazon covers nearly 7 million square kilometer, or the nearly to the equal to the area of Australia. So that much area is under cover in the Amazon, and stores more than 150 billion metric tons of the carbon equivalent. Okay, so this much carbon it stores in itself. When such forests are destroyed, this much amount of carbon can get into the environment, which is highly detrimental for the environmental health. Okay, so now Amazon rainforest drought, it is experiencing severe drought like situation. It has resulted in drying up of the crucial rivers, okay, affecting the travel leading to the shortage of water, food and medicine in the indigenous communities. All those communities which are living there kind of getting affected because of this particular, you can say nearly about 5 lakh people are getting affected because of this particular drought like situation. Okay, so there is a river named Rio Negro. Okay, this river is seeing this is one of the largest river when we are talking about the discharge of the river. So now this river is experiencing low water levels. Okay, this is in Brazil. So this is experiencing low water level because of the drought situation in the Amazon. Okay, so what are the environmental and human impact on this? Because of this drought, there has been resultant death of numerous fishes and river dolphins. Okay, they are also known as boto. This you can remember that what are botos. They can ask about this term. These are the dolphins, river dolphins, which are found in the Amazon forest, and in local language they are known as doto. Okay, their rotting carcasses or the bodies of that particular animals which are dying there are kind of contaminating the water supply in that areas, because of which there is chances of health hazard. Okay, a majority of hydropower dam in the region has been affected, obviously because of the lack of the water. The operations of the hydropower dams are kind of impacted. A dry condition in the rainforest has made it more vulnerable to the wildfires. So if there is less amount of humidity in the air, because of which since the air is dry etc., there are chances of wildfires. Amazon is not new to the wildfires, but because of such incidents these wildfires can be at a huge expanse, and since it's a forest area it will actually spread like anything. Okay, approximately 5 lakh people may have been affected by this drought. This is the humanitarian impact of the drought on this area, and other than that these are the climatic impacts. Other than that, when we are talking about climatic impact, or you can say environmental impacts, so pollution is one thing. Other than that, it will impact the constituents of the environment also, because when CO2 will release, so that will go to the environment. Second thing is there will be issue related to the extreme events. It will enhance the events in the further future also. Okay, causes of this drought because of this El Nino phenomena. So you know that El Nino is a meteorological phenomena, or you can say climatic phenomena, which happens because of which there is this unusual heating which happens in the Pacific area. Okay, so it is characterized by the abnormal warming of the surface waters in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. So when there is abnormal warming, because of which it impacts the climate of that particular area, it also its impact is so much that even if it is happening in the Pacific, we will see the impact in the India as well. Okay, so it also impact the Amazon region. Okay, so it is kind of hindering with the cloud formation and causing more extreme heats. Okay, since it is an impact which kind of heats the environment, because of which the Brazilian area or the Amazon rainforest area, it is also kind of impacting and getting heated. So because of that there is this drought like situation. Other than that, there is also one thing, that there is North Atlantic Ocean which is also getting affected because of the high temperature of the surface water. See, this area is known that in the northern part of Atlantic Ocean, we know that it is area of cold currents. Okay, so when there is change from the cold currents, the surface temperature is rising, it is moving toward warming, it will impact the other climatic phenomena as well. Because of this particular thing, the cloud formation in the rainforest area or the Amazon area is also impacting, because of which there are less rains and the drought like situation is prevailing over there. Okay, so these two are the reason. First is your El Nino, and second is the warming of the surface water in the northern Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so these two are the causes of drought. The climate change implications. The climate change is expected to lead more frequent and severe droughts in the Amazon. As I told you, these extreme events will increase. Okay, climate change anyway is impacting the whole world, but when certain phenomena like this is happening in the Amazon, it will impact it more. It will increase the drought like situation, it will increase the wildfires. Okay, So when wildfires and drought situations happen, it will also impact the flora and fauna of that particular area. Okay, so ultimately it will impact the environment in a very bad way. If fossil fuel consumption continues its current rate, the rainforest is projected to experience major droughts 9 out of every 10 years in by 2060. So no doubt there are drought like situation in Amazon right now, but if it is continuing, we are using the fossil fuel because of which it is impacting the environment, and if we continue at the same pace which we are going right now, by 2060 there will be 9 out of 10 droughts in the Amazon area. Okay, so that is a huge concern for us. Amazon is nearing a tipping point, okay, wherein the you can say the green areas or the forest like situation is there can reverse. The green forest there can convert into a grassland or savanna grassland. So that will be a huge issue for us when we are talking about environment, okay, because these green forests are acting as the lungs of the planet. They are providing oxygen as well as they are using we are using that as carbon sinks, okay. So once we are losing this forest, we will reduce the carbon sink, okay, because of which the amount of carbon in the environment will increase. So we are approaching a tipping point. We have to be more concerned about it, and we have to stop these things here like fossil fuel consumptions, etc. Okay, so what is the conclusion? So there is a urgent conservation measure required. Okay, we need to take urgent steps. Urgent need to curb the deforestation and the reduce greenhouse gas emissions to protect the Amazon. So when we are talking about greenhouse gas emission, we have to reduce the fossil fuel uses. And other than that, all the things which are impacting the environment like vehicular emissions, etc., we have to reduce all those things. Okay, we have to go more and more clean. We have to adopt the sustainable practices, etc., to reduce the impact of climate change and the greenhouse gas emissions, etc. The fate of the Amazon is closely linked to the health of the planet. So if Amazons are getting harmed, it will harm the planet in the longer run. Okay, we have to understand that and then act accordingly. Okay, so that's all about this particular article. We're moving ahead to the next article. Okay, so what caused the largest mass quake? On Earth we have earthquakes, and on Mars these are Mars quakes. So these quakes on the surface of Mars has happened earlier also, but the right now what we are witnessing, it is the largest. Earlier when there was a quake like situation on the Mars, we were kind of on the assumptions that it is because of any kind of impact, any kind of celestial body has come and hit the Mars from the outside the space, and they have hit the Mars, because of which there are some tremors. Okay, so right now whatever this Mars quake has happened, the magnitude of this particular quake was 4.7, which is kind of normal for us on Earth, but in a Mars topography it is kind of huge. Okay, because there are no tectonic activities there. On Earth there are different layers inside the internal structure, and these layers are kind of moving. Okay, we have talked about this Alfred Wegener's theory, which says that there are many tectonic plates which kind of interact with each other, and when these plates are moving, because of which we can feel that earthquake like situations. Okay, other than there are some fault lines, etc., which kind of impact the movement of the plates. Okay, so now when we are talking about this particular incident, the Mars lacks geological processes like plate tectonics. So there are very less or you can say almost no plate tectonics movement in the Mars, because of which there are chances of getting earthquake generated are less. But whenever it happens, we think that there is some kind of impact had caused the Mars quake. Okay, so when we are searching for this impact, or whenever there is a celestial body which is kind of hitting the surface, it will create a crater, a hollow ball like structure, which we will think that it was the crater where the impact has happened. But the thing is, when we have searched through the satellites, etc., we have found that there is no crater like situation on the Mars. There is no crater like structure found on the Mars, because of which now the scientists are assuming that it was not the impact. Okay, but it was the interior phenomena of the Mars. There are some chances that plate plates, if there is no plates, there is geological movement, okay, over there, okay. So there is that will increase our understanding towards the Martian seismic activities, etc. We have very limited knowledge as of now, but this situation particularly makes it interesting for us to know the situation. Okay, Mars's surface is still, you can say shrinking and cold. Okay, it is still cold. Because of there are some fault lines. Okay, fault lines are nothing but the cracks, you can say, and these cracks, release energy sometimes, and that basically cause some quakes. Okay, so that is particularly that is what we are thinking happened on the Mars. We will be studying this thing extensively by the scientists, etc. So this particular thing was noticed by NASA's InSight lander. Okay, so there is a lander on the Mars by NASA. The name is InSight. Okay, so you have to remember this name. This is by NASA. India is also planning to send a lander on Mars now, because we have sent an orbiter successfully and it was working till 2022. From 2014 to 2022 it was working. Okay, and now we are planning to move ahead and send a lander also. Okay, since earlier we did not have this lander technology, building the lander indigenously, but with the Chandrayaan 3 huge success, we now have the technology to create a lander and send it on the celestial other planetary bodies or the celestial bodies. Okay, so that is all about the Martian earthquakes. So here nothing much we are talking, we are just saying that there are evidence that there can be geostatical or geological, sorry for the geological movements in the Mars as well. Okay, some tectonic, you can say, movements in the Mars. Earlier we used to say that there was no plates like situation in the Mars, and it doesn't have the earth like internal structures in there, and the earthquakes there was result of impacts. Okay, so moving further, now we will be looking at the editorials. When we are talking about today's editorial page, this is the Seize the Fire. It is about the Israel issue, the war-like situation which is going on in the Middle East. We will be talking about that, and then this is lagging behind. Recently, yesterday we have discussed the Supreme Court's verdict on the same-sex marriage, and which says that Supreme Court has not performed as per the expectation of the community. Okay, the queer community. So now they are saying that the judgment lagged behind somewhere, but it is kind of hopeful. It will create a hopeful environment because of the direction which are given by the CGI, and now the onus is on the legislature to decide the case. So we'll talk about this. Okay. Other than that, it's back on us. It is also talking about the same-sex marriage. Okay, we'll discuss it in maybe editorial if, and then not the old Middle East. It is also talking about the Israel-Palestine situation. Okay, we'll take these two articles and we'll leave these two for our discussion right now. Okay, there is this quote, worldly wise. The defense of equality is that the defect of equality is that we only desire with our superiors. When we are talking about equality, we will always look up to the person who is having some advantage or privilege. Okay, we will never see that we have to be equal with the poorer person. Okay, so this I will leave it to you for introspection. Okay, so let's see the article, Seize the Fire. So now what happened recently was there was a strike on the hospital in Gaza Strip. Okay, because of which many civilian kind of got injured and died. Now because of this, there is this criticism on Israel that they should not have done something like this, because direct attack on the civilian institution, etc., is not applauded in the international system. So now Israel is facing a crucial situation or scrutiny by the other players in the world. Now Israel is saying that we did not do it. This is because of some misfire, or you can say other missile which was used by the Hamas, but it ultimately attacked the hospital. So this is not our fault, but this is because of the wrong done by the Hamas only. Okay, So obviously we don't know what happened. That is for future to say, or the investigation will happen or not. That is not our concern. But the thing is, right now everyone is looking at the Israel, if they are, if they had done it or not. Okay, even if they had not done it, now we have reached the point where we should stop this violence. Okay, if you want to find a solution, first violence will stop, and then there can only be talk. Okay, now American President Mr. Biden has arrived in the Israel, and there are hopes that they will talk about it, and they will talk with the neighbors also. But there are reports that neighbors has kind of cancelled the meetings. Okay, so we'll see what happens in future. But Mr. Biden is also saying that Israel did not do it. Okay, so they are giving their unconditional support to Israel. So that is one thing. So now we can see here that there was the blast at the Al Ahil Al Arbi hospital in Gaza. Israel has claimed that it is not responsible for the attack. Okay, there are people are saying that it was kind of a failed rocket launched by the Hamas. Okay, or there is this institution or organization, that is Palestinian Islamic Jihad. They have rocket barrage, and because of which this particular situation has arisen. Israel is in the more difficult situation. Obviously, as I told you, that world will see it as an attack by Israel on the Gaza, because they has launched a military action. Okay, Biden would be unequivocal in the support of Tel Aviv, because obviously Biden has said that it is not Israel's first, it is not done by the Israel, it is done by some other teams. Okay, so try to bring actors from the West Asia to negotiation table. So now the job of Biden or the other international community members is to make sure that the actors in the West Asia comes on the negotiation table, and they talk it out. Okay, the violence should stop, and there should be negotiations, and which should result into peace. So cancellation of Biden's summit level meeting at Jordan have put those hopes on hold. As I told you, that there was hopes that these leaders will talk, but those meetings has been cancelled. Okay, Iran backed Hezbollah has called for a day of raise. Okay, as I told you, that there is this institution, or you can say organization, Hezbollah. It is supported by Iran, has declared a day of raise. So now there are other parties who are getting involved in the situation, in the conflict. So we should avoid that. Okay, this situation will make the Arabs. It will make the difficult for Arab relations to talk with the Israelis, because there was this Abraham Accord which was signed by these some of the Arab nations. Okay, like Qatar, UAE, etc. They have signed this Abraham Accord, which was kind of a ray of hope that ultimately these Arabs are kind of accepting the existence of Israel, and now there won't be any struggles, etc. But now, because of this particular thing, that all those things are in questions now. Okay, so now it is since the Arab community is in question, Palestinians are belonging to the particular community, and now it is difficult for other Arab nations to talk with Israel because of this particular hospital attack, because they are seeing it as a attack on a civilians, innocent civilians. Okay, so situations in Israel now are getting very complicated. If we don't stop here, there will be much destruction. The longer the violence draws on, the worse it is for everyone, including Israel. Okay, obviously other than Israel also, when we are talking about USA, India, Saudi, Iran, etc., or for all those neighbors or the members also, this situation is critical. We are kind of thinking of building an infrastructure in the Middle East, and Middle East is on fire, so we cannot do that. Okay, so as a first step for long-term peace, the government of Israel should suspend military actions so that the humanitarian aid can reach the civilians in the Gaza. Okay, so as I told you, that there is only one opening, which is through the Egypt, and Egypt has also blocked the aid to the Gaza part. So now Mr. Biden has requested Israel that they should allow the humanitarian aid. Okay, so Israel has actually allowed some limited aid in the Gaza. Okay, we'll talk about that in the next slides also. Lagging behind, Indian society is slowly but surely accepting queer relationship. It is up to judiciary and legislature to catch up. Okay, as I told you, that people in our country are now getting little bit accommodative. There are some conservative, but there are some open-minded liberals, okay, which are moving in the right direction. So now when we are talking about this in this particular article, the author has given like two situations where he has seen the acceptance of the homosexual relations or the non-heterosexual relations. Okay, so herein he said that the people should not interfere in others' choice. Okay, if two person want to live with each other, you should not interfere with that. Okay, that is one thing. This is the sentiment that is increasingly echoed in the towns, village, kasbas, etc. Okay. Now people with the education sector, people are getting aware about it. Okay, growing evidence for Indian societies, slow but sure progress. Okay, now there are two ways in which a society can progress, or you can say the society progresses and then laws are made. Okay, and other is when laws are made and society accepts it. Okay, there are highly chances that this situation would not survive for much longer. If society is against it, it will not survive. So we have this farmer laws, farmer bills. Okay, but farmers did not accept it. Ultimately, we have to take back those bills. Okay, so that is one of the place where you can say where law, if not accepted by the society, is no law. Okay, so now when society is ready, then we can bring a law. Okay, in this particular case, when Supreme Court has given the judgment, they have accepted the rights. Okay, they have accepted that the queer people has the same rights as an other person. Okay, other heterosexual person. Okay, so they have the rights. We have accepted that. The society has accepted that. Now the thing is, the onus is on the law to make the law. So society is, when society is ready, the parliament will make the laws. Okay, so that is the crux of this particular article. Indian society is slowly but surely accepting the queer relationship. It is up to judiciary and legislature to catch up. Okay, the state has to catch up with them. Okay, now judiciary has also kind of has accepted it, but now it is time for legislature to come and interfere and make laws which are kind of accommodative for all. Okay. Other than that, they have talked about this issues like temple entry, abolition of untouchability, discrimination, etc. So all these things has happened in a very slow pace. So he is saying that society is slow but surely progressing. Okay, so that is all about this particular article. You can give it a read. It is a good read. Whose body, whose right? So this was an article in the Indian Express. We have talked about this in all directions of all the ethical issues in this particular thing. We have covered in the medical termination of pregnancy case, which was there, where 26 weeks fetus was declined by the Supreme Court to be to kind of terminate the pregnancy in this case. So now this is talking about the rights and the ethical issues around this particular article. I will not go into details of it, but you can give it a read. Okay, we have discussed it in the previous session. I am disappointed but hopeful. This is same article. Court hasn't done enough, but legislation for sure for some same-sex marriage will come. So now they are hopeful that court hasn't done much because court did not want to get into the domain of legislature. So they are saying that court hasn't done much, but legislation for the same-sex marriage will come in the future. It is the hope on which world survives. Okay, so other than that, there is this Deloitte's predictions, which is saying that India will grow at 6.5 to 6.8% in this fiscal. Okay, the reason behind that is the festivities etc. which are coming, because of which the consumption will increase. Other than that, there will be government spending. Okay, so which will kind of increase the growth patterns. Okay, they have given some data. This is the growth. The growth for every fiscal to become India's world largest economy by 2027. So if we grow at the pace of 6.5%, we will be the world's third largest economy by 2027. Okay, and if we grow at the pace of 8 to 9%, okay, that will lead us to become a developed country by 2047. Okay, so these are the prediction. You can use these data in your answer writing etc. Okay, so they have expected a growth of in the financial year 6.5 to 6.8. For the next years also they has given 6.5%. So that is a good you can say development, or you can, or good data to look up to. India's micro, small and medium enterprise will have a key role in generating incomes, capabilities, capacities and ecosystems needed for sustainable growth in the consumptions. So they are saying that the MSMEs will play a critical role in the growth in the consumptions. Okay, so that you can remember, or this particular line you can quote in your answer writing. President launches agri roadmap for Bihar, bets for the organic farming. Okay, since there are lesser rains in Bihar this time, and because of which there is this particular agriculture roadmap which is launched by the President Draupadi Murmu. Okay, so other than that, they are talking about water consumption, climate resilient agriculture, infrastructure, etc. And they are also talking about that they have created this organic farming corridor along Ganga river. Okay, so you can remember this also. This is important that they have, you can use, quote it as an example, organic farming corridor on the Ganga river, along the Ganga river. Okay, other than that, when we are talking about Bihar, Bihar is pioneer in the production of honey, makhanas and fish rearing. Okay, so Bihar is the pioneer in this these three areas, and there is now they are talking focusing on the organic infrastructure, organic farming. Okay, so that's all about this article. Only thing is I wanted to tell you this particular thing, organic farming corridor along the Ganga river. So starting Sunday, passenger can take a ride in India's first rapid rail corridor. We have talked about it in our previous session that there is this rapid rail rapid rail corridor. Okay, so that corridor will be Delhi Ghaziabad to Meerut. Okay, RRTS corridor. You don't have to remember all these names, but just think you have to know that there is the India's first rapid rail corridor that is in Delhi Ghaziabad Meerut, and then this train will be reaching a speed of kmph, 160 kmph. Okay, so you can just give it a read. Then when we are talking about the world related news, I have told about this hospital attack. Okay, there are some 471 casualties, etc. But that is not the point. The point is Israel to let Egypt deliver limited aid in Gaza after Biden's request. As I told you that Israel has allowed it. Okay, so we'll be discussing about this in a this slide. Here you can see Biden in Tel Aviv to show solidarity. Obviously, they have given the unconditional support to the Israel. After that, fury across region over the incident. Because of this particular hospital attack, the neighbors are kind of criticizing Israel. Then Organization of Islamic Cooperation holds emergency meeting in Saudi city of Jeddah, and they are saying that there should be an oil embargo, and they are showing that there should be some kind of economic restraint that is to be put on Israel, but that is just a suggestion, okay, by the Iran. Okay, after that, this Abbas and Jordan King call of the meeting. I told you that they are supposed to meet with the President Biden, but they have cancelled the meetings. Israeli military denied role in the blast that killed the hundreds at the Gaza hospital. This I told you that they said that it is a misfire by the Palestinian rocket, okay, by Hamas. Biden backs Bibi on the hospital incidents was done by other teams. We have talked about it. So other thing is that Israel let Egypt, deliver some kind of humanitarian aid to the Gaza after Biden's request. As I told you yesterday, there is this Rafah crossing that is only opening on the Egypt border, you can say, which can, from which you can enter into Gaza Strip. Other than that, all the border is with the Israel. Okay, so you can remember this Rafah crossing. Then a warning by the Xi Jinping, obviously as expected. Xi warns against the decoupling from China. So decoupling is basically the term they are using, that how the world is going away from the China because of their policies. Okay, so now the West is trying to create alternate infrastructure. Earlier, what happened that China was creating an alternate infrastructure against the West. Now West is trying to create alternative to the China's, to ensure that there is no break in the global supply chain. Now the global supply chain is basically dominated by China. Okay, so since we have seen in the COVID etc., there was some kind of breaks because we are highly dependent on China, and China, there was a lockdown we have seen in China. So because of that, there is a supply chain restraints we are facing. So now West is inclined to create another alternative to the supply chain which is dominated by China. Okay, so now the president of the China is warning the nations against this decoupling. They are saying that if you are going away from China, that is a harm to yourself. Okay, they criticizing the Western's effort to reduce dependence on Chinese economy. Okay, and they have applaud the Belt and Road Initiative. Okay, so that is basically it. As I told you, these Western countries are doing it to de-risk it, not decouple it. Western countries are saying that we are not decoupling with you, we are de-risking. That if something happened, COVID-like situation come in the future, we are not supposed to be overly dependent on one country. Okay, that is why they are de-risking and not decoupling. Okay, so that is all for this session. I guess I have covered the important article from the today's issue in Indian Express. So that's all. We'll see you in the next session. Till then, have a good day. Thank you.